going on, everybody? How is everybody doing today? Welcome here to another NBA Talk video, and today's video is going to be centered around the New Orleans Pelicans and how they might be in some serious trouble. So I'm currently recording this video during their matchup against the Suns, which they were 10-point underdogs, and right now they're up about 10 in the second quarter, so they've been playing well tonight. But prior to tonight, they are 1-6. They are without Zion Williamson still. They're currently without Brandon Ingram. He was hurt for their Saturday game against the Knicks, in which they came close to winning. They did play hard, but yeah, in a tough Western Conference, you do not want to start 1-6. They haven't made the playoffs since Zion has been drafted. 2 years ago, they were in that playing tournament in the bubble. Didn't happen. Last year was kind of a disaster of a season for them, not even making the play-in tournament. And Zion Williamson is obviously their main player, their franchise guy. He's going to put people in seats, he's going to sell jerseys, and he's going to be the guy to get you to the playoffs, right? And what is not great for his development is having 3 different coaches in his first 3 seasons. So in his rookie year, he had Alvin Gentry as their head coach. That ended up not going over to his second season, in which they tried out Stan Van Gundy, who hasn't coached in a little bit for his defensive purposes. That didn't work out at all. I actually thought maybe he would get more than a 1-year shot. And now it is Willie Green, a former assistant for the Phoenix Suns, who I think they just got to hammer it, like give him 3 years. It might turn into shit, but just keep it going now. You can't keep that revolving door. You look at this, it's a main thing in kind of the NFL with like quarterbacks and like just having a revolving door in head coaches is just terrible for their development. And you look at some teams like the Knicks, the Kings with DeMarcus Cousins didn't really help them out there. The Knicks with like Kristaps Porzingis, just the revolving door of head coaches is just going to stump some players' development unless they're just destined for greatness and they're going to be good regardless of their head coach, like LeBron James, you know? So the Pelicans are in trouble. I don't even think I would put money on them to make the playoffs this season. And they do have a talented roster. I think it's good enough where it's not like, okay, this is a team in the tier of the OKC Thunder, the Spurs, the Magic, the Pistons. No, they're definitely a tier above those teams. And I want to compare them a little bit, or I want to take a look at their top 2 guys, Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson. I think those 2 guys can lead you to go to the playoffs. And I think what they need specifically is to hit on that 3rd guy. Now, Jonas Valanciunas is a good player. He's actually super underrated. But I'm talking about somebody that's going to maybe take like that OG Anunoby jump, that Christian Wood jump. You know, somebody that you might not take with the top 10 pick, you take in the 20s, or like John Collins for the Hawks, but can actually emerge as a number 3 or a number 2 guy on your team. And their drafting really hasn't proven of that at the moment. So Jackson Hayes hasn't really worked out as that guy. Nickeil Alexander-Walker is a solid player, but I wouldn't say he's like an OG Anunoby, like a maybe Keldon Johnson, who was one of the last picks of that draft. Or you look at Kevin Porter Jr., who was the last pick of that first round. You know, like one of those late steals that can actually be like your number 3 to help you go to the playoffs, right? So you're looking at those specific guys, and then you can also bring in Kyra Lewis. They haven't really developed him so far. I go back to the head coaching thing. Having that revolving door with head coaches, not going to help these guys' development. They ended up trading down this year. They took Trey Murphy. I like him as a complimentary piece. I don't think he's going to be a 20-point per game scorer ever. Do I think he could shoot 40 plus from 3, average 13 points a night? Yeah, but I don't know. I think they did get worse this offseason. I prefer Lonzo Ball over Devontae Graham, and Devontae Graham has been fine for them so far. He hasn't been too bad, and they dealt with injuries, and I think he's been fine. He's definitely not one of their problems on their team. It's just they gave up a first-round pick for that. They didn't even get a first-round pick in return for Lonzo Ball. And then I've talked about coaching. What's going on with their front office? Like Transient Langdon hasn't really done much there. David Griffin, the main guy right now. Obviously we know him from LeBron in Cleveland, but he hasn't really done much for the Pelicans. And you want to keep your franchise guy, Zion Williamson, happy, who I believe has been happy for them, and the media is going to blow it out of proportion because they would love to see Zion Williamson in a big market like New York, California, Texas, you know, somebody or one of those teams. So they're going to blow this stuff out of proportion because they can probably get more recognition with him in a bigger market. But I think you want to keep Zion happy, right? Like, he's going into his 3rd year. He's got 1 more year under team control. I believe he is due for a new extension this offseason, him along with Ja, RJ Hero, Garland, a bunch of those guys. He's going to get that 5-year, what is it, $200 million, what Luka got, what Trey got, Shea, Porter Jr., what all those guys got. Zion's going to get that money. And then Is he going to request a trade? I don't think so. Maybe in 3 years from now, but I think you do have at least a 3-year window where he wouldn't do that because you're about to sign him to a 5-year extension plus his team option next year. 6 more years, Zion is pretty much going to be there, right? Yeah, pretty much 6 more years. So he's not going anywhere anytime soon, so you should really think about building this team and constructing a good roster around him. And I actually really like Jonas Valanciunas next to Zion. We haven't seen it yet because Zion has been hurt, but I think they're going to be a good front court duo once Zion comes back. So I think that David Griffin and that front office made a good move with that trade because then you could pair up Jonas and Zion. You traded down, you got off the Bledsoe and Adams contract, and you're allowing more playing time to Hayes, Herb Jones, Kyra Lewis, those guys that you want to give those kind of young playing minutes to because you want to see who could be your OG Anunoby or who could be maybe your John Collins, your Michael Porter Jr., somebody that you could take in the mid-round, which they have done with Naw. He's a little bit earlier, but still Kyra Lewis, Trey Murphy, and seeing if one of those guys can emerge to earning that next contract. And they still have other guys like Josh Hart on this team who I think is a hard worker, and I think he should be on any type of team in this league, and Najee Marshall and some of those guys. But yeah, the Pelicans are not off to a good start. Luckily, they have a ton of draft capital. They have pretty much all their picks. They have some Milwaukee Bucks picks from the Drew Holiday trade, which I think was good value, and they should have done that. Even though I thought maybe it was a little premature, if you were going to try to win with Zion, it wasn't smart to trade at the time your best player. So that was a little bit questionable. And then they have all the picks from Anthony Davis. And I think they also need to hammer down, is Brandon Ingram the number 2 next to Zion for the long term? And I think Brandon Ingram had a very underrated season last year. If you compare his numbers last year to his most improved season, during the COVID year of 2019-2020, he was better last year, pretty much statistically, maybe not towards team success, but stats-wise he was better, and he's not going to get that recognition because he wasn't that most improved guy. Like if Julius Randle puts up similar numbers this year, he's not going to get like any more praise than he recently did because he's already breaking out. So I'm a little nervous of the Pelicans at the moment. Now, they're not really in a great division, so most of their teams they're going to face this year are winnable teams or winnable games. Like the Mavericks are good, better than them, but it's not like they're playing the Lakers. They got the Grizzlies, who are good, don't get me wrong, but it's not like you're going up against the Brooklyn Nets 5 times a year, 6 times a year. So those are the 2 tougher teams in the division. And then you also have the Houston Rockets, not very good. They're young, inexperienced, and same as the other Texas team in the San Antonio Spurs. So they're going to get a lot of games against teams that they can win, and they can kind of make up ground in here. But I think they really just need to get healthy, get Zion Williamson back, and really develop just kind of their scheme. And I would love to see one of Kyra Lewis, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, or I'm going to say Trey Murphy right now. One of them have a great season this year where I could be like, all right, this guy could be a number 3 on this team, but maybe they're just going to be lost in the spotlight with Josh Hart, Valanciunas, and Devontae Graham, who have been in the league for a couple years, some more than others, and we'll figure it out where it goes from there. But I think right now the Pelicans are in trouble for maybe Zion's 3rd year in the NBA, not making the playoffs, and I'm not going to overreact like the media and say, okay, he's going to request a trade because I don't believe that's going to happen. And if you look at maybe some other teams, or some other star players, they haven't made the playoffs in their first couple years. But yeah, we would all like to see Zion make the playoffs, and I think the front office needs to get that done. This year could be a wash year, just developing that young core, maybe flirting with the playing tournament if they go on a run at some point. I like that they brought back Valanciunas, so they're looking at next year. But with all that draft capital, maybe with some of these young assets, somebody might be on the trade block. You'll look to make a move. So I don't know. Let me know what you guys think of the New Orleans Pelicans down below. Do you think that they're in major trouble like I believe they kind of are for this season? Or do you think they're going to turn things around and maybe make a move or two? But I think it'll be an interesting offseason when we get there. And this year, they could be a team at the deadline that could maybe make a move and sell one of their veterans. But I don't think they would move Graham and Valanciunas, but maybe it's more like a Josh Hart thing, So yeah, let me know what you guys think down below. I just want to see basically them build this team around Zion Williamson and Kyra Lewis. I was a big fan of him coming out of Alabama to have a good year. So that's somebody I would like to see break out. So yeah, thank you all for watching. Hope you guys did enjoy. Drop a like if you did. Let me know what you think of the Pelicans down below. Also, let me know any other teams you want me to talk about, but I have some in mind. But if you guys comment any and just like a comment you see, I'll know to talk about them. So yeah, thank you all for watching. I love you guys. Catch you on the next one.